Hey everyone, welcome back to the tax show for people who owe. I'm Dave.
And I'm Phil.
And tax season's over. Well, filing season at least. And the IRS has done a phenomenal job, one of their best filing seasons, service level wise, ever.
Absolutely.
Right? Considering all they had to do over the last couple of years, they did a knockout job this year.
Yep.
Okay, now that tax filing season's over, for most taxpayers who have filed, they're asking a question. And what is that question, Phil?
Where's my refund?
Most taxpayers, not taxpayers who owe, they're looking for that refund. And what's the best way for them to find out where it's at if they don't have it?
IRS has a great tool on their website called Where's My Refund?
Pretty simple. And it seems, based on the stats that the IRS is producing, they're getting a lot more visits to that site more than ever.
Right? There's been a lot of improvements on that tool, more visibility, and hopefully more useful information for people waiting for their refund.
Now, we normally cover taxpayers who owe, but we should probably cover taxpayers who have unclaimed refunds. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, that's important, Dave, because this year, over $1 billion in refunds went unclaimed.
And we have a lot of customers that call us who could have claimed these refunds, but it's too late.
Right. And that's important for taxpayers who owe just as much because those refunds would have been applied towards their back taxes.
Yes, which could reduce the overall balance and help them when they do call us. Okay?
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's talk about how long the IRS has to collect from taxpayers. How long does the IRS have to collect?
Now, that's a great question, David. Now, while the taxpayer has 3 years from the due date of the return to claim that refund, the IRS has 10 years to collect on any balance due account.
I'm saying no fair.
Well, that's life.
Well, it is life. And so this is the IRS as we know it. And for those folks who have balances, we can't stress enough. If you have unfiled years, file every return as soon as possible because you might be losing refunds, right?
Right. And not to mention the dark side of penalties and interest.
Good point. All right, speaking of the dark side, we should cover what it's going to look like for taxpayers who owe. Although you're in our light, what is it going to look like for taxpayers who owe this year?
It might be a rude awakening. As you know, IRS has been pretty dormant on the collection side. So it's going to feel like light speed from the CP14 to the LT11. And that might not mean much for you, but that means the initial balance due notice to the final intent to levy.
Thank you for clarifying. People don't really know the notice codes, but that's correct. Last year, there was an extended or notice period. So the notices didn't start till much later in the year. This year, the IRS is going back to normal?
Absolutely.
Okay, so if you had notices in November, right through tax season, which you normally wouldn't get, do you understand? You're now going to see notices come quicker and almost compounding the issue faster. Fair?
Absolutely fair. But let me remind everyone, that's not a reason not to file.
Great point, Phil. We hear from tax preparers in our network nationwide that say quite often, especially this year and last year, taxpayers are coming in and saying, I don't want to file that return because they owe. Not a good thing. It's only prolonging the obvious, which is going to be IRS enforcement. Fair?
Fair. And that's very important because it's not like you can just duck your head in the sand. If you don't do anything, like we always talk about, those substitute for returns will come this year.
Yes. Please file, please file, please file, no matter what.
Absolutely. The last thing you want, like we always say, is for the IRS to file for you.
All right, Phil, any words to close?
As usual, do something, especially if you haven't filed.
Guys, finally get that refund if you're owed one, and file anyway if you don't. That's the parting words from me. We'll see you next time. Hey everyone, thank you for watching today. Please be sure to like
And subscribe.
so you are up to date with all the information you need when you're taking on the IRS.
And as always, do something.